Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at some of the new additions to the Plunderlings line. These are Plunderbeaks, which is probably because they're birds. They also have frogs, and then they have the other ones that came out a while ago. They asked me to review these, asked if I wanted to. I said, yeah, sure, I'm happy to help, or, I mean, I guess it could be not helping, but it's generally helpful, I suppose. Independent companies who are doing good work, and this was a very popular thing when they did their Kickstarter, and I don't think they're doing Kickstarters anymore. I could be wrong. I think they're just actually releasing product now, which is great, awesome. They're doing a good job making people happy and selling stuff. So when they asked if I would, I said, yes, you bet. So here they are. So the first batch of Plunders, I think I only reviewed one of them, but it was a very nice figure. I think you got a good value for your money, and that's the case here too. These are not meant to like go up against Marvel Legends, for instance, or Bandai, SH Figuarts, things like that. It's their own thing for sure, but I think you're getting quite a good deal. There's a lot of part reuse, but that's a normal thing, and the way they do it is very clever, I think. Like most of these figures are mostly the same, but there's enough that's different, especially even just the paint, that they don't feel like they're the same figure. I mean, obviously if you look at them up close, you're gonna be like, yeah, they're the same bodies, but it works well. They do a good job with it. And I mean, that's a common thing. Like Mythic Legions for the longest time was like 3 figures. Not literally, but you get the idea, so that's fine. Part reuse is always fine if you do a good job, and they do a good job. Before we get into the review though, I want to show you this. They packed this in. It's like a little treasure map thing, and if you scan this, it takes you to a YouTube video that has a really cool stop motion. So I think you guys can probably grab this, even if it's on your TV, you can use your phone, or if it's on your phone, I think you might be able to just screenshot it or whatever. I don't know how phones work. But yeah, if you go to this, use this QR code, it takes you to a YouTube video. Very cool stop motion. Very cool. High production, super high production quality. It's awesome. Alright, so these guys, these are the 3 new ones. This is Captain, let me see if I remember the names, Longbill, Berserker Cuervo, I think, not Quavo, Cuervo, and Raider Finch. Flinch? Finch. Flinch. It is Flinch, not Finch like the bird, Flinch. So they have the same core body. I'm going to show you all of them, but I'm just going to handle one for the review. And I am doing a review. It's not just like a puff piece type thing. I don't do that unless I'm telling you it's not a review in the first place, and I've done that like once in my whole career. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at them. I guess I'll tell you this first. They all come with like total of 4 extra hands, so 6 total hands, I should say total 6, a weapon, then they have their hats and various accoutrements for their bodies. We'll start with Flinch here. Oh, by the way, the packages, they have the wings that match them, and you can just tab those into the side of the box, and so they kind of look like the character, so that's kind of cool. But let's look at this guy first. Love the color scheme on this, and we'll talk about the paints in a minute, but I just want to show you what they are first. So there you go. This guy's hat is like a knit beanie sort of thing, and he's got the belt here with 2 little peg holes on him, and he comes with little hooks or claws to go on there too for the belt. But he's the barest of them all, I guess. He just has this, and that's what he looks like for his head. They all have different heads, of course, and they all have opening mouths, which is nice, and we'll talk about that again in a minute. And so that's his color scheme. That's what he looks like. This guy, a lot darker color scheme, but still very nicely put together. They do a good job getting the color profiles right. I think that helps a lot, because you could easily throw together some grays, and if there's too much blue or too much yellow in either of the grays, it's going to look weird. But this guy looks really nice, so very, very pleased with the way this guy's color scheme turned out. And then the purple shading on there is very nice too, so he's great. He's got the rope here, he's got the rope belt rather than the regular belt, and he's got this kind of hat. So that's his look. And he's got this thing on the back, which is cool. It's like the thing from a ship that you would tie off, and he has a rope accessory, so that's cool. So yeah, I like the way these are. Like, this isn't my thing. I don't really collect the fantasy genre so much, if you want to even call this fantasy, but I do love quality action figures and quality products that companies clearly put a lot of effort into and a lot of care. They're not just thrown together because their IP is so popular that it doesn't matter, like Marvel or Disney or whatever. They have to actually try, and it's clear to me that they are trying and that they care about what they're making. And then this is the Captain. He's got the most involved head and hat out of all of them. He's got the shading on the black and the orange. I think the black could be a little bit cleaner on there since it's so front and center. It'd be nice, but it still looks pretty good. And the hat's pretty cool. And he's got the extra shirt, the whole Captain's thing with the, what are those called? Are those called epaulets? I don't think those are called epaulets. Maybe they are. But yeah, he looks pretty cool. And then he's got the skull belt down here. And these kinds of things, like here and here, these are also just add-on pieces, so I'm guessing we'll see more down the line that have different parts there. But yeah, pretty good variety. Like, it's not a lot of difference per figure, but it's enough that they look cool. And I think the hat on this guy helps a lot too. So that's pretty good. Let's do, I guess I'll talk about the accessories. Well, no, let's get into the paint just a little bit more. The paints are pretty darn clean. I talked about his shading on his beak. I did that kind of on all of them. But the detailed paintwork is pretty nice. These guys are only 35 bucks. They are at Big Bad Toy Store if you want to get them. I'll put a link in the description below. But the paints are nice. They're nice and clean. The metallics are good. The details are clean. The line work on the feathers, really, really nice. Not absolutely perfect, of course, but very, very nicely done. And there's a lot of paint on these guys. They're very clean looking figures, and I'll grab them all so you can look at them up close. So there's the captain. We'll set him aside, and let's look at this guy. I think I like this one the most, probably. The color scheme is so cool. But the detail work is so clean. It's very, 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 very good for a smaller indie company. I say smaller. They probably are, I don't know this, but just I'm guessing they are a quite small indie company. It's not like they should be going toe-to-toe with the big ones like Hasbro or whatever, but that's what we're seeing nowadays, and I love it. I love seeing all these smaller companies come out and make really good product that they care about. And so yeah, he looks really good. Now the one thing that does bug me about this guy in particular is when you open his mouth, you get the black thing in the back, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but the way his tongue stops at a yellow thing, it's just a little bit weird looking. But yeah, the tongue is articulated too. So, you know, little things like that could be improved on these guys, and that's why I said I am doing a review here. But for a small line from a small company, these are really, really nicely done. And then I think we'll look at this guy again a little bit. Just for the paint, you can see how clean they are. Like, things like this is a really good indicator of how the QC is, on how the paintwork is, and it brings a figure to life. I love seeing things that are painted clean when they could easily just be ignored, or like if it's Hasbro, they just don't get painted at all. So it's very nice to see. And then the shading on his is probably the best out of all of them for his beak. But yeah, very, very nice looking figure. So I love the aesthetic on these guys. Should I do number ratings or should I not? I guess I could do number ratings. For 35 bucks for the aesthetic on this, I'm gonna go 8.5. I think 8.5 is pretty fair. A few issues here and there hold me back, like his beak is a little bit strange in the way his mouth looks when you open it. Just little things like that, but nothing major. The sculpt work is very nice too, so that's very good. Now, as far as accessories go, they each get a total of 6 hands. That's good. That's obviously plenty. And then they each have some kind of main weapon, which his is like a sword. His is a different type of sword, and his is the sword on the rope. I don't know what they're called. And then you get the little clips for the green guy too. So it's not like a ton of accessories, but it's plenty. You could count the hats as accessories. You can obviously remove them. They're held on magnetically, but you probably want to leave those on, but of course they're interchangeable. So yeah, good spread of accessories for this price point. I would say 7 or 8 out of 10. I'd like to see maybe like one extra thing, like a treasure chest or, you know, something like that, but it's still a pretty good spread, so no real complaints from me. Now let's go ahead and do the articulation on these guys. I have 2 major gripes about these things, and then the rest is all pretty solid for what they are, but we're going to get into it. So we're going to remove the hat, because like I said, they're just magnetic hats. Let's go ahead and move these for the articulation section. Alright, so let's see how these guys pose. We have a ball peg and a ball hinge. It's basically a Marvel Legends style neck on these guys. And if you look in there, you can see a lot of gapping. But when the head's seated properly, unlike what Hasbro does, it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't really have a giant gap unless you're trying to see it. But it does allow for the heads to move pretty well. They get good range out of it, good attitude. Not as much as I would like. I'd like to see a little bit more wiggle. I think part of the problem there is because of the articulated jaw, they have less room underneath to actually rotate on that ball as much as you might like. So you might be a little bit more limited than you would expect, but it definitely will pose plenty, and that's fine. For the wings, I love how tight they are. The joints are nice and tight, and it's a single ball down here and then double, and there's no good way to do wings, unfortunately. It's just like either they're sculpted and they don't pose and they look nice, or they pose and they look bad. There's nothing really to do about that. And I think if you're going to make them pose, this is the way to do it, because these guys' wings can go all over the place. They pop off if you go too far forward, but they do have really nice joints, and they can go any direction you want, as it's just a ball. And then these being double balls, that's nice because you can fold them up real tight if you want to. So you can do all kinds of different things, and it does look pretty good. I mean, as much as it's going to look good with an articulated wing, there's no great way to do it, but I think if you're into photography, and these guys are kind of photogenic, you'll be able to get the wings in some pretty decent poses, and you'll be able to do a little bit of trickery to make them look even better than they actually are, just because you're going to have segments no matter what you do. But I think they did a good job here, and I love how tight the joints are. And they're not so tight that it's a problem. Like I said, if you go too far forward, the ball just pops off, so it's not like a big deal. But they're nice and firm joints. Better than I think fixed wings would be, unless you're going to include fixed ones and articulated ones, but then you're talking about a whole different price point. For the shoulders, standard ball hinge, they go up nicely. No issue there. You're going to get your full rotation, of course. You do get a bicep swivel. Oh, I didn't heat this guy up. It does say on the package, or in the package, to heat him up to get him to work. I think I did the white one. I forgot to do this one. But yeah, it rotates fine. The bicep swivel's fine. Now here's an absolute issue for me. You get the single jointed elbow, which is fine. You get plenty of range. It can get a little bit better than 90. Most people, and by most people I think like everyone that buys these, unless they know ahead of time, they're going to think this can rotate. It cannot. It is a square peg that goes into the bicep, and I'm sure they did that to make it extra sturdy. I don't think that's a good idea. I think people are going to rip the arms on these guys, especially if they heat them up first and then twist. I'm pretty sure they're going to screw up their figures. So that's very concerning for me. This does not rotate. It is a fixed peg. That's concerning. I think everybody who's ever seen this joint has seen it rotate, this type of joint. And so I really hope that that's not a problem for people. But it is a square peg that goes in there. It is not meant to rotate at the elbow, so be aware of that. These are floaty pieces, and then the wrists just have a swivel and a hinge, so that's fine. That all works normally. For the torso, we have the upside down ab crunch, which you guys know I don't like, but we do have a waist twist, so I don't care at all. Alright, so for this part, it rotates at the top. Does it actually lean? It does. I'm not getting a ton out of it. It doesn't feel like it's stuck from heat, so it's not a ton of range, but it's enough, and he does lean forward really far, and he leans back very well as well, so that's good. Plenty of range there, and because it's rounded, it looks good. So you can definitely have him in some nice flying poses. That's nice, and then you do get rotation at the top and bottom, so that ab crunch in there doesn't bother me at all. Now for the hips, it's just a ball peg. You get decent range going forward, like they get up to horizontal. That's not really an issue. They kick out to the side some, but not a lot. Going out to the side is a lot more limited. They went for the look. I guess they didn't want to have a cutout up here, so they went for the look over the posability, and that's just their prerogative. But yeah, they don't have a ton of range going out to the side. They do go back a little bit, but this is the other thing, which is I guess more of an aesthetic thing. Their butts are really, really defined. The butts on there, I mean, that's a design choice. Hey, if that's what you want, that's what you want. I would personally have less butt hanging down there because it does get a little weird when you bring the leg forward. You have a dangly, strange butt situation going on. That is not my cup of tea, but again, that is their design choice. If they want to have butts on there, they can have the butts, but I would not have this extra chunk here at all, especially since they already have like not the most detailed anatomy. I would definitely just mush that butt part right up in there, higher up. But that is there. And then you do get a thigh swivel, which is fine. Double jointed knees, which work no problem at all. Really good range on those. And that's how you do it too. They're rounded off. They're not flat and faceted. So that's a very nice double jointed knee. I love that. No shin swivel on this guy, but you do get decent range on the foot going back. Not as much going forward, though. This is a separate piece and it's somewhat flexible, the top of the boot. You're not going to get a ton of range here unless you really force it and mush it, so that's a little bit of a bummer. The ankle rocker is pretty solid, but since it doesn't have any rotation at the shin, you're stuck at a pretty steep angle. But even though the foot can't go forward very well, they have decent toe hinges on there, which work nicely. They're well placed, and they're not super loose, so other than having like a little bit of shelf at the bottom, that's a really good toe hinge. So yeah, they pose pretty darn well. They're not like competing with like, I don't know, MDLX Iron Man or something like that, but for $35 you're getting quite a good batch of articulation, I think, with some room for improvement for sure. Most notably that bicep swivel that people are going to expect to be there. The only reason I realized it wasn't there is I had one of them that was inserted the wrong way, and I was heating it up and I was just going to rotate it, and I was like, oh, I can't rotate it. I have to actually pull it out and put it in the right way. So that's that's definitely an issue. But I'll go 7 out of 10 for articulation. It's good. It's definitely enough to carry the line. It's not the most articulated thing on the planet, but I don't think it's supposed to be. So now it's time for the final verdict. Is this a good line of figures? Yeah, I think it is. I think if you're into this sort of thing, which plenty of people are, the Plunderlings line is doing quite well. They keep adding to it. This is a shoe-in for adding to that bunch, 100%. I don't think you're going to be mixing this with like Figure Arts Dragon Ball or something like that, but it is not meant for that, and I think they did do what they set out to do. I think they scratched that itch of this type of for this type of audience and this type of figure. They did a really good job. I do think there's room for improvement, and hopefully I didn't offend. I don't know if his name is public or not, but hopefully I didn't offend him by saying things need to be fixed, but I think they do, and that's what I do in reviews, so hopefully that's all good and constructive, and they continue to release good product. But I'll give this line an overall rating, or at least these 3 figures, which are the 3 birds at the time, I think 8 out of 10. For the price point, 8 out of 10 seems reasonable. They're very nicely sculpted, very nicely painted. Again, some room for improvement. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.